All right, so this is how to sound design number 9. And we got this sound here. So I mapped what I did was I mapped the LFO speed to the velocity. So if I just started MIDI programming for this, then it would be so much easier to mess with the LFO speed than having to draw out an automation clip, and I don't gotta do that. So it's much more helpful. So what I got going on here is a triangle wave, just being volume automated. Just gonna turn off all the effects. Oh, and turn off the sub. It's being volume automated, and then the little this curve right here is being automated on the curve is being automated with LFO 2 right here. This is automating that curve. I see Virtual Riot do this kind of thing all the time. And then I have it being FM'd. So this is just, what is it? What waveform is this? I can't really tell. I think it's some type of square waveform that might have been like a synced form of it. And then I put more sync on it. And then I use the sync window where, it slowly rounds the waveform to where it goes to 0 on both ends. Kind of helps make sure there's no like clickiness, and it just sounds better with this for FMing in this sound. And then I'm changing the sync a little bit. If I didn't change the sync, if I muted this, where's the mute? Can I can go in the matrix and mute it. Let's see. Oh, bus. I don't see it. Sync window. Why do I not see sync window here? Okay. Strange. But I do see velocity, which I mapped to LFO rate. Okay, whatever. Anyways, sync window is mapped to LFO 1. What? Distribute. Warp B. Okay, this is it. That's what it is. Yeah, so without that that sync, modulating that sync has a much different sound, and this gives it more like characteristic to it, I guess. And yeah, and then I got some distortion here, so a DO distortion with a little bit of a peak beforehand. I'm modulating the mix. Some dimension expander, and I just made the sound from scratch. I didn't copy anybody else. The only thing I copied was this curve modulation I see Virtual Riot do. But yeah, just using your ears to make sound. You just learn what all of these little things do, what the FM does, what the sync does. Just learn what the tools do in the synthesizer you have or the DAW you have, and that will help you make all your sounds. And then just practice listening to what happens when you do certain things, and then you'll get better at making sounds. Then I added some OTT after the dimension expander. We're getting there. It sounded pretty good now. But I wanted to add more movement and more like characteristics of sound, so I added like a little high pass. I'm sorry, low. Yeah, it's a high pass filter. I don't know why I was gonna say low pass. It's cutting off the lows, so it's a high pass filter. And then I added a little bit of a peak, and I just kind of modulated a little bit. And then I added a chorus afterwards. Chorus isn't super evident, but it adds a little more stereo. Helps the stereo image a little bit in the final product to the sound. Then I added a vocoder afterwards. And I think that helped a lot. I made the bands kind of thinner And I think that helped make it more like a little more like I don't even know how to explain it. The sound I was going for, I guess. I've in the past wanted to mess with some of this other stuff, but honestly, every time I mess with some of this other stuff, it just makes the sound worse. I'm not gonna lie. I tried to mess with the pitch shifting, but I feel like it never really does much to the sound, and it depends on what you're doing, maybe. But half the time, I feel like I make things worse if I do any of these things, especially like the band distribution. I know you can control the bandwidth, so you can make some bands thinner, but I never really have a use to do that, to be honest. I don't know. It's cool. And then I made sure that this signal, it's just the wet version of the signal. And then I cut off the lows. I got that, and I added a sub, which is a sine wave with some Hummer rubber distortion, and then low pass. So we got that for the sub, and then together, it sounds like this. All right, pretty cool.